And you've heard the stories about Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Well, it was about 605 BC. Daniel and the other young men, they were probably somewhere between the ages of 15 to 17 years old when Nebuchadnezzar, as he was chasing Egypt back down to the northern point of Africa, just kind of on his way, he besieged Jerusalem. Now, interesting, that word besieged, I looked up the NIV, New King James, New Living Translation, NASB, and they all use the word besieged. I guess there's no other word for what Nebuchadnezzar did to Jerusalem. He besieged it. Let's look at the book of Daniel now, starting at verse 1 in chapter 1. During the 3rd year of King Jehoiakim's reign in Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came to Jerusalem and besieged it. The Lord gave him victory over King Jehoiakim of Judah and permitted him to take some of the sacred objects from the temple of God. So Nebuchadnezzar took them back to the land of Babylonia and placed them in the treasure house of his God. Now Babylon they were like the next BC superpower before Christ. They were the superpower at this point. Egypt was done. Now it's Babylon. Now they didn't have much the modes of transportation that we have, the communication that we have. So how is Babylon, how are they going to control this vast area? Probably, okay, this is a guess, probably an area of about 500 miles, where they were ruling over this area. And how are they going to control that? Well, one way they did it was they just shamed people. I mean, just the fact, let's turn in your Bible real quick to 1 Kings. 1 Kings chapter 8. Verse 48, Solomon had made all of the furnishings in the temple of the Lord, the gold altar, the gold table for the bread of the presence, the lampstands of solid gold, 5 of the smooth and 5 of the, 5 on the south, 5 on the north, in the front and the most holy place, the flowers, the decorations, lamps, the tongs, all of gold, the small bowls, lamp snuffers, bowls, dishes, incense burners. These were things that were all in the Holy of Holies. Nebuchadnezzar took those things and he said, I just defeated your God. I'm going to take the very things that you think are the most holy things that you keep in this place where you think your God's presence is, and I'm going to take them and put them in my God's presence. It was just kind of like I tease my friends who are Dodger fans right now. My team's better. The Giants, you guys were 12 games behind the Giants. Your team doesn't compare to the Giants. And Nebuchadnezzar is just like, I just defeated you. Your God is nothing. I can see him just getting in Jehoiakim's face with his finger going, saying, your God is nothing. And then the other thing that he did was he took some of the finest men, as Pastor Al read in that passage. He took some of the young men, the leadership, and he took them to Babylon. Why did he do that? Because he wanted to control the whole society, and in order to do that, his plan was to take the young people and grow them up in his society. You see, Daniel was now thrust into a foreign culture. So Nebuchadnezzar was going to change him and seduce Daniel's soul by changing his thinking, changing his worship, and changing his lifestyle. See, if you can change someone's thinking, their thinking, that will affect their worship. If you can change my thinking, it'll totally affect who I worship and what I worship. If you affect my worship, you will guide my lifestyle. My lifestyle will be completely changed. In the American homes, it's said that each day there's 10 hours of media. Now, we used to say 10 hours of television, but now we can't say that because, between the computers and the iPhones, it's media now. 10 hours of media a day. You see, Babylon represents the world that we live in. Do you want to be closer to God? Well, this world is trying to change your thinking to make you think that you're fine right where you are. Trying to change your thinking so that your worship will change, and then your lifestyle will change. One of the first things they did to Daniel was change his name. Daniel's name did mean God is my judge. And when he got to Babylon, they changed it. And there's a couple of different versions of what his name was changed to, but this is the one that I would have liked the least. He used to hear, when he would hear his name, they would call out to him, and he would hear, God is my judge. And now in Babylon, he would hear, wife of Marduk. Remember the old song, Boy Named Sue? Johnny Cash song? You know, my daddy left home when I was 3, didn't leave much to ma and me, just this old guitar and an empty bottle of soda. He says, but he never forgave him for what he did. He said, he went and named me Sue. And that affected his whole life in that story. I wonder what it was like for Daniel to go to this new culture. Here he is, kind of like the star athlete. He's the one, and not just star in athletics, but academically, just one of the finest, top of the class. And he goes to this new country, and now his name is the wife of Marduk. See, Nebuchadnezzar wanted to change his thinking so he could change his worship and then guide his lifestyle. And after 10 years, Nebuchadnezzar would have the leadership of the Hebrew people in his hands. They would be his leaders. They would be thinking like him. And see, that's what the world tries to do to us. The world tries to change our thinking. And they go after our young people. What do our teens worship? I looked up teen idols. I had some pictures of some teen idols. You should be able to get, everybody in here should be able to get the first one, right? Who is that? Elvis Presley. The second one, it's not a girl, okay? That's a guy. And nobody? David, shame on you. And the next one is a current idol, teen idol. I've heard of this name, Justin Bieber. The Beebster, they call him. And then the other one there, this guy they're saying is the new Elvis. Adam Lambert. And if you've followed American Idol at all, then you know about Adam Lambert. These are idols of our young people. There was a survey done, and they said, they asked teenagers, what's